Extreme 3D Spooky Tree Part 2 Acrylic Nail Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish.
Hi everybody! In today's video I'm going to be showing you part 2 of my spooky tree design. So this one has all the smaller details like the owl and the cat and the bat and the spider and the spider web and the painting. So if you missed the first video that has the actual tree and the background, I'll put a link to that in the description box below, so check for that, and I will see everybody in my next video.
I'm going to begin by sculpting the graveyard. So I'm going to make a long, skinny, kind of just bar rectangle shape on a nail form backing. And I'm doing this with black acrylic. So this is going to be the little ground that all my little gravestones are coming out of. So there's that. And try to eyeball it to the nails to see how long it should be so that you have enough space for a couple gravestones on each side, as well as the space between them where the tree is. So just kind of, like I said, eyeball it to see how that's all going to fit together. After you have that long skinny bar shape made, you can go ahead and start adding your different grave markers. So I didn't want any of them to be the same. So I had a little image that I found on the internet of a whole bunch of gravestones, and go through and, make a couple that are, this shape or that shape. So the first one that I started was just a very nice kind of classic oval shape. That's probably the one that I'd say is the most common, I suppose. Probably not literally, but in the art world. And then I have one on the far other side that is going to be just a nice cross sticking up out of the ground. So I added the first middle part of the T, and then the cross piece going up from one side to the other. And then I have a nice little smaller rectangles from the side of that. And kind of, you don't have to do the whole gravestone at a time. You can kind of do a little bit on it and then add some more details to it. So that first one I added just that square shape, and then I added a little bit more of like the top ornament part of the grave marker on top of it. And then on the other side, I'm going to go through and add the last one. So I did 4. I did 2 on each side. And then, like I said, leaving a nice gap so that it wouldn't hurt anything to add gravestones behind where the tree is. It's just that they won't be seen, and you might as well save your time, because if you make something that just gets hidden, what's the point? So that's up to you. If you guys just want to make like a full thing of graves and figure what shows and what doesn't, oh well, that's up to you. So there's the last one, another one with a little cross on top of it. And try to make them so they're not all the same height either. Just kind of keep things variable. And then I'm going to be gluing that to the underside of my tree behind it. Just take some nail glue and then hold that in place after it's set. For me, nail glue, it takes a process. I had to add a second layer to it. And so just hold that. Once it finally kind of takes hold and you're like, yes, it's sticking, then go through and fill in kind of underneath or just right there so that it helps hold it onto the nail. And then add a layer of clear acrylic over the back of the whole little graveyard piece so that it holds the whole thing together and keeps it very, very strong. Especially over like the little crosses that are on there. You want to make sure that those have a nice layer of clear acrylic on them so they don't break. So now I'm going to be making my spider web, and I'm going to glue 3 pieces of thread just off of one of the branches, pretty much going straight up. So I have some nail glue. I'm just going to be gluing those up. One of them I did attach between 2 of the branches, but the other 2 I just have loose. So they're just glued straight up into the air pretty much. So there's the last one. Then after those have glued down and they are holding in place, you can go ahead and flip the nail over, and I'm going to be... Well, first I just secured it in the back with a little bit of gel sealer, and then cured that, and then flip the nail over, and then hold those 2 that are just going straight up into the air taut with your fingers, and apply some gel sealer over the majority of the thread that is visible. Cure that, and that's going to make them strong enough to hold their shape so that they're not going to be all wiggly when you're trying to add the little cross pieces of the web. So then take and with either nail glue or gel sealer, whatever your preference is, add a couple additional pieces of thread going across. So start with 1 and then take that all the way across. I did 3. So I have 3, if you want to think about it as vertical and horizontal, 3 vertical pieces of thread and 3 horizontal pieces of thread. So there's the first one. Now I'm going to be adding the second 2. And you can do this however you want. You can do them 1 at a time. You can do them 3 at a time. You can attach them with gel sealer. You can attach them with nail glue, however you feel like it. But if you are going to use gel sealer, after you've attached each one, you have to take a second and flash cure it. So cure it for 15 seconds, give or take. And that's going to hold them in place so you can start working on the rest of it. So you just have to keep that in mind that if you are using gel sealer, have a lamp next to you and keep sticking your little design in there. After you have all the thread in place, you can go ahead and trim off the extra bits of thread that are there, and you have the cutest little spider web ever sticking up in the corner. That is a little bit time consuming of a process to make it, but it is so worth it, at least in my opinion, that spider web is definitely a crucial element here. And then on the nail form backing, I'm going to sculpt a couple little animals. So I'm going to add, the first one is going to be a little owl. And these are kind of low on the detail front, so you don't have to go too crazy on them. They're almost just like silhouettes. You got your spooky tree and then these little dark shadowy animals that are living in it. So there's my little owl. He's got a nice round body, a little head, his tail sticking down. And after you add your little owl, the next one I'm going to be working on is a bat. And same thing for the bat and the cat. They're fairly just kind of shadowy and not super detailed. I didn't think they needed to be. So here's the next one. So here is the bat. So the bat, I'm going to sculpt him so he's hanging upside down, classic bat style. So I've got his little body with his toes going up towards where the branch will be, and then add his little head. He doesn't really look like much now. At his little ears, none of these characters or animals do. They don't look like too much at the moment. But once they get on the tree and you can really see them, then they just kind of come to life. So just bear with me for a second. They'll get there. Then I'm going to add just kind of a little circle. It doesn't need any more detail than a black circle, and that's going to be for a spider. So after you have your spider set and we add legs to him, then he'll show up as being something more than just a circle. For the last one, I'm going to be making my cat. So I've got the arched back, and I'm going to be adding the back leg. And if you guys can hear a obnoxious noise in the background, that is my cat chasing around a little cat toy through where I'm trying to be in the quiet room. So she's causing trouble over there. So add the cat's front legs. And then after you let those front legs set for a little bit, and all of these little pieces, these are so thin and so delicate that really after they're all done, you have to be so careful and so gentle with them. Just keep that in mind afterwards, that until they're fully attached to the nail and they're secured and they have a nice little bit of clear acrylic on the back of them to hold them together, that these are as delicate as a potato chip and you have to be very, very careful with them. Add the nice long skinny cat tail, and then add the cat's head. And like I said, the cat has the arched back. All these characters have kind of like that spooky presence to them. Add the little cat ears. And then after you have all of those done, you're going to want to let them set completely, and then we can start adding them to the nail. So I'm going to glue the owl in place first and pre-plan out a little bit where you want each of these animals to be, so that once you glue them in place, you're not like, oh man, that one should have been over there and that one should have been over there. So just hold them up and see where you think each one looks the best. Then I'm going to glue the little bat in place. After that, I'm going to be adding my little cat. Just like so. So if you noticed, I glued the owl's tail so he was actually behind the branch, and the bat and the cat I glued so they were in front of the branch. And then I'm going to glue some pieces of thread to my spider for his legs and his silk that he will be hanging from. So just take, and I did something that I think in my mind, I can't believe I did this, it's something that's criminal, but I only gave my spider 6 legs, and so I just didn't think he had enough space to add those extra 2 legs. If you guys have a bigger spider, if you made this whole design a little bit on a larger scale, go ahead, please give your spider 8 legs. I just did not think I had the space for it. And like I said, it's something I consider to be criminal. I have a spider sign, that's a Halloween sign, that is currently hanging in the hallway in my room. And it has 6 legs. And I always look and I'm like, why on earth, who would give a spider 6 legs? So my story for that one and this one that I made myself is that they got into a alley fight and they lost a couple legs. So that's why they're down to 6. So yeah, long story there, but give your spider 8 legs if you can. And then glue his silk onto the branch, trim off the extra thread, and then go over the back of each of these cutie little creepy guys and cover them with clear acrylic to make sure that they are nice and strong and aren't going to break. That's, I think, one of the worst things is to be working on a design like this and have so much time and effort invested and then have something break because it falls on the floor or you breathe on it too heavily, something. Now I'm going to be painting all the finer details onto everything with acrylic paint. So I started out with white paint, and on 2 of my gravestones I added just a little bit to them. So I put RIP on one of them, and then I put some dates on a different one. And you can just pull dates out of thin air if you'd like, or you can actually have legitimate dates. I decided to do dates that are farther off into the past. So I did 1837 or something to start with. And I'm going to be adding a little bit of bright green paint over the eyes just to intensify their color a little bit, kind of darken some of the mouth up a little bit, add some, with the little black paint, add some shadows on the tree itself and on the branches, anywhere that you'd like. and just keep adding little shadows, add some outlines around the fingers of your tree. And if you guys missed the beginning part of this design where I made the tree and I did the background of the nail, I do have a link to that video in the description box below, so definitely check that out if you didn't get to see it. So just add little details on the tree itself, and then go through and add all of the details on your owl, your cat, and your bat, and your spider. So I add 2 little yellow eyes on my spider, or on my owl, sorry, and then I added some white chest feathers on him. And then I'm going to go over to my bat, give him just a couple little eyes. He doesn't need as many different details on him as some of the other ones. But then I took some gray paint and I just kind of outlined where the one wing is that's wrapped around his body. A couple more details on my tree itself, here and there. Add the eyes on your kitty cat with green. Little outlines on his ears. And then I'm going to take my spider and I'm going to give him some eyes. 2 little yellow eyes like that. And then going back to my owl because I had to let paint dry before I could finish him off with his beak in the middle of his eyes. Go ahead and do that. So add his little beak with black. And then I'm going to take and give everybody pupils. So there's black pupils on my owl, my bat, my cat, and the spider. Teeny tiny little black dots for their eyes. And now I'm going to be applying a layer of matte top coat over the tree. So not over the animals, but just over the tree. Make sure all that paint is nice and secured there. And then I'm going to take what's called 3D glaze, and I'm going to be applying that over all the animals and over the gravestones. And that is it. This design, like I said, is one of my absolute favorites from this year. I had this in mind since last year as a nail that kind of kept morphing just in my brain for a long time, and I had so many concepts to throw into it. So I hope you guys like it as much as I do, and if you have any questions or want to share recreations or anything with me, you can get a hold of me here or on Facebook or Instagram. I'm definitely here to help, and yeah. So I will see you in my next video. Bye!